Hey guys, welcome to another Blender tutorial. My name is Ryan, and today we are starting a new sort of series, I guess you can call it. I've been looking into more in-depth training of materials. I'm actually doing a course on an online course of Blender materials, and so I'm going to be starting that off. I'm going to be kicking it off today just simply with some simple things. We're going to be looking at using cycles, and then we're going to change our editor layout, and then as well as we're going to look at our material view, just changing our material view and why it's important to do that and how to do that. And then and then next week we're going to climb into further on into looking at a bit of lighting. Alright, so just to kick it off straight away, so this is your splash page that you kick off. This is of course your default view, and before we get there, I recommend that you change your render engine right over here to cycles, alright, because that's what we're using on the course, the online course that I'm busy doing for that. Alright, don't worry about any of the other things. So that's the first thing we're going to look at. Then the next thing that we're gonna change is just something that I recommend using, all right, enable for you to work effectively and fast with your setup of Blender for your shading. Now, I know that you've already got all these tabs up here, so if you go to your shading tab up on top here, you can see the view that you get, right? So you get this view over here, your preview, and then of course you get your node editor right at the bottom here. Alright, then of course you got over here for when you create it's your image editor basically, but when you create textures and you UV wrapping and all of that stuff, well, you basically see your textures over here, and then you got your file browser over here, which is quite nice because you can go straight to your texture and just pull them straight in. It is pretty awesome. But I'm going to go with more a very minimalistic look. So if I take my mouse and I'll drag to the corner here, and I drag down like this. Is it going to do it? Yes, there it is. Okay. I was never really, like in all the years that I've been doing Blender, I had never actually really done window splitting. I was aware of it since the beginning, since I did Blender back in like 2011, 2012, 2013. The window splitting thing was not a very big thing for me. I would either just use the presets or use anyway, where you got the 4 views and stuff like that, and one of them was your camera and all of that. But when we were taught about this sort of setup, I was like, I think that's gonna work. Very minimalistic and very nice, right? Then the next thing that I want you to do is that we're gonna change our top window over here. Now you can change what the function of this window, all right, what it is, and I want you to go into your right over here, right in this corner over here. You get all the different panels that you can change it to, and we are going to change it to your shader editor. All right, and what's nice about this now is that, like the other one, I've got my nodes, because we're going to be working with a lot of nodes on top here, and at the bottom here you're going to be looking at your object so that you can check it out whilst you are whilst you're editing. You can have a look at your material. Alright, so that is a very good, clean and very basic setup. Now let's have a look at our material, this panel right over here, your shader editor, and let's just have a look at how this actually works. So first of all, a very popular node right here. Now I'm not sure, I'm assuming that everybody knows the basic idea of how nodes work. Alright, you got different node shaders, these little nodes over here, and just like layers, if you use After Effects or if you use an editor, and that whatever's on top will show on top, and as it goes down to the bottom it gets hidden behind the other one. Well, it's sort of like the same like that. I have nodes on this side, and they sort of flow, that you sort of have input, and then the nodes will flow through the workflow. it'll work, it'll flow through your nodes like this until you can see your final output, and you have different options there as well. All right, and obviously you've got to plug your nodes in together. All right, you can see if I drag on the dot here, I can plug it in. If I pull it off like this, there's also a tool which I don't use, which is a cut tool. You can just slice right through it. But anyway, so that's how it works. Now, the most popular node that apparently is used, and I use this one. I actually did a lesson on Principled BSDF because it's a very, very cool shader. It does a lot more than what meets the eye. It does a lot of work for you. You're just needing to basically select a very few options. Go look for my tutorial on that. Go look on the movie show playlist on the Active TV YouTube channel. All right, you won't find a Blender playlist. You go look for the movie show playlist, and then right towards one, because we actually did a whole lot of shows before that, and then I decided to start doing like Blender tutorials because Blender they use for movies and gaming. But anyway, so yeah, so go check that out on the Principled BSDF, and this guy is a lot more amazing than what you think. But anyway, so we're at this point now where we've got our viewer over here, and we've got our shader editor over here. And what you'll notice is that if I change the color here, all right, because right now in my over here in my preview, if I edit a specific object's material by selecting. When I selected it, it's active over here. Right, you can even see over here in my collection, there's my cube. But now if I change the color to blue, it doesn't change. And that's simply because you need to go into your material preview, right over here. All right, you can use this option over here as well, but you can go straight into this viewport shading. And what it does is it does a live render shading for you already. You can see as I'm moving it, it's actually generating the material in accordance to the position of the light and the other objects around it, blah blah blah. Luckily I've got a very simple setup happening over here, so the render is not really taking too much chunks out of my CPU, or some of you might be using your GPU. I can use my GPU as well, and yeah, let's see how that goes. All right. The Mac that I have, I've got a 2013 MacBook Pro, late Mac, and it's got these Intel processors. Yeah, they don't really work too well. I think Mac works really well with that metal computer processing, thing that Mac did, especially when you're editing and stuff like that. But I find that when it comes to 3D, we don't suffer that much. Even when it comes to, I use DaVinci as well. There's certain nodes I have to disable the GPU. But anyway, so I'm using Cycles. I've just put it on GPU compute. I don't know if it's actually working because you can see it's grayed out. I don't know if that means anything. But anyway, comment if you know anything about that. So, right, material preview. That's what you've got to do, and then let's say you've put it on there, and it's still not working. This is the view that you're getting. Even if you change your view, well, I don't know if you saw what I just did. Just check this box over here, use node setup. All right, and this is, I know this was a very quick, but this is basically setup. We will be looking next week at lighting. This is a specific light material course section that I'm doing. I'm going to teach you everything that I learned as well. But hey, hit the like below, subscribe to Active TV or wherever you saw this on Rumble as well. We're also on Rumble. Go check out our Rumble channel as well. There's a whole lot of videos there as well. But subscribe, give us a Rumble or give us a like and subscribe. And then what happens is when you hit the bell button next to it, then whenever we release new tutorials, guess what happens? You get notified. All right, so you'll know when I release the next tutorial, but it should be next week. And if you're someone in the future and you're listening to me talk about your past, well then, just look for the next one. It's called part 2. So yeah, there it is. All right, cheers guys.